On my cell phone, you can see that it says 15th of January. Now, this part makes sense, but under it, it says 2nd of Shvat, 5781. What is Shvat and why 5781? It's a bit noisy here because all the children are in lockdown, so I will go to my office and explain it all there. Hoppa. Okay. The Jewish calendar is different from the Gregorian calendar that you know. What is different? Basically everything. The days, the months, the years, and even the way we write it. We use letters instead of numbers. But let's start in the beginning, the days. According to Western culture, each day begins at midnight. According to Judaism, the day begins with the appearance of the first 3 stars each night. The reason for this difference is that in the book of Genesis, in the first chapter, which described the creation of the world, it says, "And there was evening and there was morning one day." First came evening and then the morning. The Shabbat, Saturday for instance, begins on Friday evening, while Saturday evening is already considered Sunday. So the Jewish week starts on Saturday night. The idea of 7-day week, by the way, began in Babylonian culture, but the idea of transforming the 7th day into a day of rest was a Jewish idea that slowly spread, mostly through Christianity, to the rest of the world. In Hebrew, the names of the days are sequential. Sunday is called Yom Rishon, the first day. Monday is called Yom Sheni, the second day, and so on. The Shabbat, Saturday, is an exception to this rule. The meaning of the word Shabbat is not the 7th day, but a day of striking, a day of rest from work. God, according to Jewish tradition, created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. So Jews are also commanded to rest on the 7th day of the week. But the Shabbat, Saturday, is more than just a day of rest. It is also one of the 10 commandments. It is a holy time. I find it all very interesting. A holy place is a religious idea that can be found in many religions, but a holy time is a fascinating, unique Jewish concept. There is something I usually say next to the Western Wall, and that is that although the Romans destroyed the holiest place for the Jews, the temple in Jerusalem, the Shabbat cannot be destroyed. You cannot burn down a Saturday. In Israel, Saturday is a day of rest, and the working days begins on Sunday and lasts until Friday afternoon. Orthodox Jews light the Shabbat candles before the Shabbat begins. They don't turn on electronic devices or drive cars, and they wear special clothes for the Shabbat. In every newspapers and in many calendars, you will see a small list of the main cities and when the Shabbat begins and ends. Out of all the Shabbat traditions, the most popular tradition is having a family dinner on Friday night. In my video about the 10 most Israeli things, that was the first thing. Check it out, it's a great video. I will leave a link up here and down below. The next thing to explain is the Jewish months. They are very different from what you know. Usually there are 12 months, that part is the same, but other than that, it is all different. In the Bible, the names of the months were sequential. The first month, the second month, and so on. But 2,500 years ago, in exile, as you know from Psalms and Boni Em, by the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down when we remembered Zion, we were also influenced by Babylonian culture, and the names of the Jewish months today are taken from the Akkadian language, which was spoken in Mesopotamia. I mention it because if you speak Arabic or Turkish, the names might be familiar. The first month is Tishrei, which falls in September or October, On the 1st of Tishrei, we celebrate, of course, New Year. And on the 10th of Tishrei, we celebrate Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. Then comes Cheshvan, Kislev, when we celebrate Hanukkah. It's around Christmas. Tevet, Shvat, Adar, Nisan. Nisan is when we celebrate Pesach, Passover. Iyar, when we celebrate my birthday. Sivan, Tammuz, Av, and Elul. And here is where it gets interesting. The calendar you know, the Gregorian calendar, is a solar calendar, which basically means that it follows the sun. January is in winter and August in summer, and vice versa if you are watching this video from New Zealand. The Muslim calendar is a lunar calendar, which means that it follows the moon cycles. The months begin and end according to the moon. When the center of the crescent leans to the right and fills up every day, it is the beginning of the month. When the moon is full, it is the middle of the month. And when the crescent leans to the left and becomes slimmer, then the month is nearing its ends. The problem is that the lunar calendar is slightly shorter than the solar calendar. So the year becomes shorter. According to the lunar calendar, a holiday can be held in summer one year and a couple of years later in the winter. The Jewish calendar is both solar and lunar. It follows the moon, so when you see a full moon, you know it is the middle of a Jewish month, but it also follows the sun and the seasons. The Jewish calendar is based on agriculture, meaning great importance is attached to the seasons of the year. Pesach, Passover, has to be in spring. And by the way, the same goes for Easter. You have probably noticed that Easter is celebrated on a different date each year. This is because the date is determined by the moon cycle. In order to make sure that the holidays are always held in the same season, a whole month is added every 2 to 3 years. This means that every 2 to 3 years there is a leap year, a year with 13 months. This is the same principle which leads to there being a 29th of February once every 4 years in the Gregorian calendar. In Hebrew, we call a leap year a conceived year or impregnant year. I like this name better. You know, a pregnant year carrying another month in her belly. The holidays in Israel are held according to Jewish calendar, so they fall on a different date every year according to the Gregorian calendar. There can be up to, I think, 2-3 weeks difference each time. And once every 19 years, the Jewish and the Western dates line up again. Now, I won't pretend to know how the calculation works, so let's continue to the years. Currently, the year is 2021 because according to tradition, Jesus was born 2021 years ago. The thing is that Jews do not believe in Jesus. The Jewish calendar counts the years from the creation of the world. And when was the world created? 5,781 years ago. Don't ask me any hard questions. That's how it is. Some might say that the first days in the Jewish calendar before the first man was created were calculated differently, but let's put that aside. According to the Jewish calendar, the year is 5,781. Now that you understand the Jewish days, weeks, months, and years, I want to show you something interesting. A letter from the tax authorities. It is an old letter. You can see that it is date from 2019. But where is the Jewish date? Where is the number 5,779? It is here, where you see the Hebrew script. The reason you've never seen the number 5,781 on any Hebrew document is that the date, so the days, the months, and the year, are not written in numbers, but in letters. This method is called Gematria. Instead of writing the first of a month, we write the A of the month. The second day will be the B, and so on, but using the Hebrew alphabet, of course. J is the 10th day of the month, and the 11th day is JA. the 12th is JB, and so on. The 20th day is K, and the 21st is KA, and so on. You get the idea. The year is also written in Hebrew letters. Now, my channel is, after all, a travel channel, so how does the Jewish calendar affect you as a traveler? I will start with the most important thing, which I've said many times in many videos, but I will say it again. There is no public transportation in Israel between Friday afternoon and Saturday night. You can take a taxi, which will cost more than the regular tariff, but there are no buses and trains. There is also no public transportation on Jewish holidays. Holidays in Israel are mostly in line with Jewish religious festivals. Now, of course, Muslims and Christians celebrate their holidays too, but when planning a vacation in Israel, the Jewish holidays should be taken into consideration. During the Jewish holidays, the prices of flights and hotels will be higher, since many Israelis fly abroad and many Jews from around the world come to celebrate the holidays in Israel. If you plan to visit Israel during the holidays, you should book your flight and accommodation as early as possible. The advantage of being in Israel during the holidays is that it allows you to experience Judaism not as an intangible religion, but also a lively festival on the streets. Sunday is the first day of the week in Israel, so there is more traffic. If you can, try to plan your trip to Israel in such a way that on weekdays, so Sunday till Thursday, you travel outside the cities to the Negev, Galilee, Golan Heights, and then spend your weekends inside the cities. And now some Corona updates. In my last video, 2 weeks ago, I said I would be uploading a video about the Western Wall, but then the lockdown light became a real lockdown, so I will probably upload the video in 3-4 weeks or so. Now I keep getting asked when the borders will reopen, and I don't know the answer to that, but I will say that even if the borders were to open today, I wouldn't advise coming to Israel at the moment, as 80% of the sites are closed. I do want you to come, but there is no point in traveling when most places are closed and there might be a lockdown and you could find yourself having to quarantine for 2 weeks. I hope that things will get better from April. If you subscribe to my channel, I promise that I will keep you updated. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Yalla bye.